Not long ago, Africa was teeming with wildlife. Those days are now gone. But one country is fighting to return the continent to her former glory. And now with blood, sweat, and heart, there's hope. When people and animals collide, things are never simple. In this wildlife-human conflict, I'm often called in to seek out the truth, to find out what's really happening on the front lines, and identify the heroes who are making a difference. My name is Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator. I'm traveling down a river in northern Africa, an ancient waterway like many others in this region, used by tribespeople and their families for thousands of years. But today, wild animals are few and far between. The banks of this river are lined almost exclusively with livestock. I enter the outskirts of a village where a local man named Jembi makes his living herding goats. What he's telling me is that in this village, there's more than 20,000 goats. And why do they want goats instead of wild animals? She said, no. In the old days, there was lots of animals. And the people used to kill the animals to eat and to use their skins. But nowadays, goats have got more value to them. As the human population exploded in the last century, wild animals were decimated, and many African families were forced to adapt to survive. That's a story about Africa. You know, a lot of the livestock has a lot more value to the tribal Africans than wildlife does. He said, I would love my children to see an elephant. I'd love them to know what a lion looks like. But those days are long ago. He doesn't think that his children will ever see a lion or will ever see an elephant.
Yes, ma. Yeah?
He's asking his kids, do you want to see an elephant? Do you want to see a lion? You want to see it, eh? As a father, I can completely understand the feeling that you want to have the best for your children, and wouldn't it be an incredible day if one day wildlife roamed in abundance once more across the continent of Africa? Over half of Africa's large wild animals have disappeared in just the last 4 decades, and the crisis is only getting worse. In North America, governments take responsibility for protecting wildlife because they can afford to, and it's a priority. But poor African nations are too busy feeding their people to do a proper job with wildlife management, and other nations are fighting losing battles against poachers in state-owned parks. South Africa, however, is taking a completely different approach to saving wildlife, and it's working. Well, I found my way to Zululand, where I'm here to meet Grant Tracy, one of the best in the business of game capture and wildlife trade. I'm here to find out from him, what is the business model? What's the size of this industry in this country? And how is that leading to the explosion of wildlife? Here in South Africa, the laws allow private citizens to own wildlife. After being captured, that wildlife is moved onto properties across the country where it's protected and managed. Tourism, breeding, and hunting all generate tremendous income for these citizens, and much of that is then cycled back into conservation initiatives. It's simple. Animals here have become a commodity, and they are thriving. Morning, Grant. How are you?
Hello, Ivan. How are you?
Lekker, man.
Yeah, good to see you.
Excellent. I hope you're not too busy. I hope we can come and bother you for a bit.
What a pleasure to have you with us.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Good. Cool. Thank you.
Grant, this industry is booming recently. What's the core of this industry? Why here and not other parts of Africa?
Private ownership of wild animals has resulted in this. If you don't own something, you don't look after it, and there's no reason to have it.
Private ownership of wildlife means South African citizens have become directly engaged in their country's conservation initiatives. And one of the easiest ways for these citizens to acquire new animals is at a wildlife auction. For 30 years, Grant's job has been to supply these auctions.
Right now, I would say there's probably well over 40 game capture teams in this country. I lost to 42. The average team catches 4,000 to 6,000 animals a year.
Thousands and thousands of animals. Until they're sold at auction, many of those animals live here, where Grant's handlers take care of them round the clock. Let's have a look and see what's in here.
This one's coming. That's so cute.
Look at these little tiny babies. Now, were these babies born here?
Yeah, they're all born in the boat. Yeah.
How old are these little guys?
These guys were born about 5 days ago.
5 days old, eh? And it looks like they're perfectly healthy and fine.
Perfectly healthy.
Very curious, eh? These nyala in a few days' time are going to be purchased and taken to a different property and released into the wild to be the seed population of a property that probably hasn't had wildlife like this on it for many, many years. It's kind of a full circle. It's because of humans that the wildlife was eliminated. And today it's because of humans that the wildlife is coming back. One of the most important things about this booming industry is how it's literally reshaping the wildlife landscape of the country. When I hear the huge amounts of acreage that are getting turned from ordinary agriculture back to wildlife, in fact, rewilding those areas, what's going on here is pretty profound. This is a model that could be replicated in any single African country.
This is the easy part. We've got a team out there that's catching these animals daily. It would be great if you'd be able to spend some time with the guys in the field.
No, I'd love to do that. I think that that's going to be a good way to understand what you guys really do. It's all arranged. Tomorrow I head for the front lines, where fearless human beings are capturing wild animals. Not one by one, but entire herds at a time. Here they come. My name is Ivan Carter, and I'm investigating how the trade in wild animals is effectively rewilding the country of South Africa, turning historic farm and ranch lands back into traditional wilderness, teeming with wildlife. And it all starts with capture. We've just driven onto this property where, right now, they're catching some wildlife. The whole process starts in the wild, where animals are captured to fill the coffers of the country's auction houses, creating a commodity that can be publicly bought and sold. You know, when one mentions the word commodity, we always think of commodities, food, raw materials. You don't necessarily think of wildlife. How does wildlife as a commodity fit into conservation? I'm interested to see how this actually works, why it's an important conservation tool, and what really goes into catching wildlife. I'm not yet at the rendezvous spot when my hosts flag me down from their capture chopper. Well, it looks like they already started capturing, so I think it's going to be all go from the moment our boots hit the ground here. Nothing like arriving and having everything starting right off the bat, so I'm just going to get on and walk straight out there.
How's it, man? Are you strong? Good to see you, man. How are things going?
The key to the whole operation is this helicopter, piloted by Jason Fisher. Flying a chopper during a wildlife capture is pure daredevil work, and Jason is one of the best in the business. Our capture manager today is my friend, the always serious Craig Lord, who'll be calling the shots from the ground. So Craig, what's the plan today?
Right, well, we're going to start off with the wildebeest first.
Two types of wildebeest have evolved in South Africa. The blue wildebeest is lighter in color, whereas the black has a different horn configuration. Both are strong, fast, and dangerous. Today, we'll be catching the blue wildebeest. So is your boma already built?
Yeah, we built it yesterday afternoon in preparation for today.
They've literally spent the last couple of days getting this all in place. We've got these huge 8-foot high burlap walls that have been strung through the bush in a giant funnel. The idea is that you drive the animals with a chopper into the boma, the opening of which is a few hundred yards wide, and then close these curtains behind them as they run into a smaller and smaller and narrower part, and then finally up into the truck. Everybody's prepared. I'm going to be getting up onto the back of the truck with Craig right now and observing from there exactly how this all plays out. This is a big and highly technical operation, and of course, welfare of the animals is the most primary concern.
Craig receives his capture orders from Grant, who estimates which animals will sell at the next auction and how many. Today, we have an order for several dozen blue wildebeest.
Well, it's go time. There's no turning back now. The people are hunkered down. The chopper's looking for the first herd.
And it's not long before Jason spots the first herd and calls it in.
I'm going to bring these there for me, 15.
That's perfect, thank you.
The crux of this whole operation is in the air support or the helicopter support. Basically wrangle game from the air. You always want to drive the animals in a direction they want to run. And so he's got to drive them all the way around and get them into a scenario where the wildebeest are running with the wind on their backs, so they only smell the boma once they're in the boma.
While Jason herds the wildebeest, we wait. The workers in the boma will have to act fast to close the gates behind these animals.
Very crucial to keep a low profile as they're running in, because we don't want the wildebeest to see a human outline. We just need one of them to turn around and they'll take the whole herd away with it. That siren that you just heard is the signal for the first gate to close. So the first curtain will be closed behind them now.
So far, so good.
That's that siren to indicate second gate closed. Here they come.
In the truck, the ground crew separates males and females.
Man, that went perfectly. What they're doing is they're logging and they're counting now because they've got a very specific quota that they've got to fulfill. So Craig is counting males, females, calves, how many of each. And the wildebeest are in the front compartment, which means this truck doesn't have to move when they bring the next herd in. Amazing how when they can't see out, how calm these animals are.
In the air, Jason goes back to work and quickly spots another herd.
Everybody's opening the curtains again now.
Jace, that's 10 that we have here, so carry on.
Yeah, definitely 13, yeah?
With the boma reset, Jason drives in the next herd. But out here in the African wilderness, things can change in the blink of an eye.
Oh, there's a cheetah.
Out in the wilds of South Africa, I'm with an animal capture team, restocking local wildlife auctions. It's a business model that could help reshape the continent, but it's also a lot of hard work. We've already got one herd of wildebeest in the truck, and the capture team's chopper has wrangled a second herd into perfect formation, when suddenly...
Oh, there's a cheetah.
One more complication. Jason, the pilot, has just radioed in and said there's some cheetah trying to chase one of the herds that he's trying to catch. So.
And before anyone can blink, more cheetahs join the chase.
Craig, you won't believe what happened there. Another 2 cheetahs there. 3 cheetahs trying to catch my wildebeest. I drove them straight past.
And the wildebeest are having a bad day. Cheetah on one side, helicopter on the other.
With some fancy flying, Jason manages to chase off the cheetahs without breaking up the herd.
They've given up.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen every day.
And the roundup continues.
Would it be possible to give me more on the left side here?
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Jason drives the second herd into the boma.
These guys make it look easy. And trust me, there's so many moving parts, there's nothing easy about it.
At this rate, we're going to hit our quota in no time. In the helicopter, Jason is spotting more wildebeest than he can round up. It's a good sign when there's abundance of game animals in the presence of predators. It means the ecosystem here is working, and that's a direct result of the business model that we're fueling right now.
Another herd in the truck.
It's a far cry from the situation I saw in northern Africa, where the wild continent has all but disappeared.
The chopper's been flying for less than 10 minutes and he's already called in 4 different herds of wildebeest. That gives you an idea of just how well populated areas like this really are. And a lot of that stems from the private ownership of wildlife. 30, 40 years ago, this would have just been cattle in an area like this. Now, it's a pure wildlife area with a great conservation initiative.
Everything is going smoothly until the last herd is brought in and Craig gets a call from one of his team members down in the boma. There's been an incident.
I got hit in the head by one of the wildebeest in the boma. These things happen, especially when you're dealing with dangerous game like wildlife and whatnot, so luckily we come prepared, but we'll have to take him to the doctor and get some stitches for him, and without them at the end of the day we won't be here and we won't be doing what we're doing. So it's important to look after your guys. I mean, they're the heart of the operation. So
anytime you're doing hands-on with wildlife work, there's a lot of risk, and having the ability to keep your guys safe. Just another direct example of what the stakes are in this.
The wildebeest truck is now full, but the day is far from over. Another truck will arrive shortly, and the crew will go back into action, this time capturing impalas. But capture manager Craig Lord is now a man down, and on this team, every member's role is critical.
You know, it's incredible how fast it changes. You know, we went from very, very smooth, getting everything we need, and now the weight of the world is on his shoulders.
As the next truck approaches, Craig asks me to help. He wants me to step into the injured man's shoes.
Yeah, perfect.
I love getting my hands dirty, but being inside this boma with a whole herd of stampeding animals is no place for a rookie.
This is where we're going to actually handle them, yeah?
We only have time for a hasty tutorial. As Craig speaks, my pulse is racing.
Ivan, can I ask you to run that curtain there? Just push it closed properly when they're all through, and then you can come forward and join me up here.
Perfect.
The chopper has already rounded up a herd, and before I know it,
Impala are just at the mouth of the boma right now.
They're headed right this way. This wildlife capture team has been rounding up animals for auction to private game reserves. But a worker has been clipped by a wildebeest, putting the crew a man down. Because every team member is essential, I've been asked to fill the man's spot inside the boma.
So we're about to catch some impala. Impala are a very different animal. They're much smaller, they lower down the food chain, which makes them a lot more nervous and a lot more susceptible to scent.
Impala travel in large social groups that are mostly separated by gender. The exception usually occurs when single territorial males travel with herds of females. Like wildebeest, impala migration patterns across Africa have been cut by highways and fence lines. Transplanting them like this is now the only way to effectively spread the species.
The other thing is, they're likely to impale each other with their horns, so we've got to be a lot more careful with these impala.
My job will be to close the second last curtain behind the herd, then help Craig manhandle them into the truck. He'll be running the final curtain.
Just push it closed properly when they're all through, and then you can come forward and join me up here.
Perfect. There's quite a bit of responsibility here. It looks like an easy job when you see somebody else running the curtain, but the timing of this is absolutely crucial. I hope I don't mess this up.
There's no time for second guessing. The chopper has already rounded up a herd.
The impala are just at the mouth of the boma right now.
Their only means of escape is sealed off.
If they see me, this whole thing can go south. They can't see me.
In a flash, they're past me.
Here we go.
It's a female herd with one male. His horns are dangerous, so we have to move quickly. We have to neutralize those horns. And rubber piping is the solution.
So what they're doing is this is gonna stop this male from impaling any of the other impala that are in the truck with it. Again, as stressful as this may be, this is all with the welfare of the animal in mind. The strength to weight on these animals is unbelievable. I mean, look at us, 4 of us to hold this thing.
It's exhausting work. But there's already another herd on its way, so we reset the boma.
So what they're doing now is they're going to bring another herd, and that's a full load.
I'm far more confident the second time around.
First one down, second, third, fourth, 5, 6.
Hey, here we go, here we go. The stress placed on these animals today is for the greater good. They'll soon start a new life, multiplying across a healthy property that likely hasn't seen their species in decades. These extreme measures are part of what it takes to return Africa to her former glory.
Well, so far it's gone pretty smoothly. I mean, a little bit of hassle getting them into the truck there. It's amazing how high these things can jump. I mean, they'll try and jump over your head. I mean, 6 feet up in the air. And so one of the females did actually get behind us, but we managed to get her back in. So far, so good.
And this is just day one. Tomorrow is going to be an even bigger challenge. Each year, these sharp-horned beasts kill many humans across the continent, and we'll be doing battle with a whole herd. With the danger ramped up, we're gonna need a whole new strategy. My name is Ivan Carter, and I'm working with the wildlife capture team in South Africa. We're moving these animals as part of a successful conservation program designed to repopulate the country with wildlife. But it's hard and dangerous work, and today will be the most challenging of all. We're setting up to capture Cape buffalo, an aggressive herd animal with more than a ton of weight behind a sharp set of horns.
With all of the other game, they've used people on foot to actually push the game towards the boma, towards the crush, towards the place where the animals are going to go up on the truck. With buffalo, if you do that with people, somebody's going to die.
Cape buffalo are also known as Black Death because of their unpredictability and their aggressive behavior. They kill about 200 people every year, making them one of the most feared animals in Africa. But they fetch a handsome price at South African auctions and are in high demand by private game reserves. As a result, the Cape buffalo populations, once falling, are on the rise.
One on the top of that ridge there by those tall trees, and then another
As
one
with other herd animals, the location for the boma setup is crucial.
So we'll have the boma mouth here going down that way, and hopefully the wind stays right, and we'll take it from there.
But it's a 4-hour job to build an enclosure strong enough to hold a Cape buffalo.
This is main gate now, running from this tree all the way down there. The buffalo are going to be brought by the helicopter through here into the site.
And the whole thing has to be disguised. If these animals smell a trap, it could get ugly fast. So camouflage thickets are built to make them think that they're running into the safety of the deep brush.
Otherwise, they'll get here and they'll spook and they'll turn. You know, it'll be heartbreaking to bring them all the way in here, and when there's pressure at the front and they tear the plastic and get out, we've just wasted our whole day.
Craig understands the unpredictability of wildlife, so planning is key.
This was designed specifically because of this path here. They'll run in and try and hide in this thicket, and as soon as they bust through it, they realize it's not a thicket, but by then the curtains close behind them. Looks like everything's ready to go. The chopper's already airborne.
And we get ready on the ground. Once they're in the outer boma, it's our job to push these animals closer to the capture truck.
Here they come.
Spooked, the buffalo takes shelter in a thicket,
Stopped in a little thicket there specifically for this purpose.
which gives the team time to close in the boma.
Now we're going to make this enclosure half the size by putting a big piece of plastic up here. And then we can drive them towards the truck here and hopefully get them up into the crush.
Each buffalo weighs as much as our vehicle. If we can't keep them moving in the same direction, they could turn and flip the truck.
Evo. Come.
They tried to seek shelter in another thicket, but Craig outmaneuvers them.
Hey!
Now it's a straight push to the capture truck.
Hey!
Until one buffalo turns on us, slashing at the vehicle with his horns. But Craig is having none of it.
That right there is buffalo capture.
It's a relief to get these animals in the truck and off to auction.
Unbelievable, eh? Unbelievable. You know, when you look at what it takes to move a buffalo, to move an animal so confident, so aggressive, this is the heart of the game trade. This kind of dedication is what's led to the explosion of animals across South Africa. This is a whole different deal.
And a totally different sort of capture is ahead. And this time, we won't have the luxury of using a boma. In the South African wilds, we've already captured wildebeest, impala, and Cape buffalo. They'll all soon be up for auction and relocated in the name of conservation. Now we have our tallest task of all, capturing and moving the largest land mammal on the continent.
So what we're doing here is we're getting ready to go and capture some giraffes. You know, this is a rodeo. This is difficult. There's a lot of moving parts, and the first thing that's going to happen is the chopper's going to locate a giraffe, put a dart into it, and then a few minutes later, as that giraffe gets drunk, literally with these guys, we're going to manhandle it. Here we go.
This capture is more of a chase, and to catch a giraffe, we're going to have to travel over some pretty rough terrain.
This is a whole different level of capture right here. This is a different species and a whole different technique.
Once plentiful, giraffe have just been classified as vulnerable, the last step before endangered. Rampant bushmeat poaching is killing what's left of this iconic species and putting costly pressure on state parks and federal ranges. But private ownership, protection and management of these animals has led to South Africa having one of the only growing giraffe populations on the planet.
This right here is the calm before the storm. As that dart goes in, all this calmness and this waiting disappears in smoke.
We've just received word that the chopper's spotted a pair of giraffes. Once the dart goes in, we're going to have to move quickly.
The vet has just put a dart in.
With the tranquilizer in its veins, we can't let this giraffe fall on its own. To avoid injury, it must be brought down in a controlled manner.
Literally, we're going to have to get up to it and try and trip it up with some rope. Chopper's just keeping the giraffe near the road here.
We have to keep the giraffe by the road, so we can trip it in a safe and open space. The last thing we want is to be chasing this drug giant through the bush, where it could slam into a tree, break its leg on the terrain, or worse. He's starting to slow down, but suddenly changes direction.
Here we go. Now the goal is to try not to let this giraffe get into the thicket here. Here we go, right through the middle of the brush.
Craig works with the helicopter to try and drive the giraffe back towards the road. But it's not working, and the drugs are seconds away from kicking in.
Here we go.
Finally, Craig takes a chance. Spotting a small clearing, he floors it, pulling ahead of the animal.
Here we go. Right, we're going to get the crew on it in a minute. Okay, here we go.
a safe takedown. I give the giraffe a dose of general antibiotics to help against any infections from cuts and scrapes.
Size-wise, seems all right.
These game capture folks are a little bit crazy.
The crew prepares the animal for transport.
And then we're gonna... Anybody that thinks a giraffe doesn't have a voice. And then we're gonna... So what they're doing is numbing all of its senses, put some socks in its ears. Now what we've got to do is to get the eyes covered over. They've got to do this very, very quickly because they don't want the giraffe to wake up while they're in the process of doing it. So now they're putting a harness on it, just like you would a horse, like a halter, and onto that halter is going to be attached these ropes. So by the time they've done this, the giraffe is going to be ready to wake up, stand it up, and walk it straight into the trailer that's arrived here. Now we're going to stand him up. There he stands up. Big animals, and these aren't even adults. These are sub-adults, but hard to manage. And that's one loaded successfully.
We have 4 more giraffe to capture in order to fill today's quota. Each one takes a monumental effort.
Here we go, here we go.
And each animal loaded onto the truck is another giraffe that won't be poached on public lands. Once these giraffes are auctioned to private reserves, they'll not only be kept safe, but will help attract tourists and photographers from all over the world, raising money and awareness for still more conservation initiatives across the country.
And here we've got the catch for the day. As I look into the eyes of these animals, I realize that they have immense value. And with value comes future.
I'm going to follow these trucks out of the bush and see what happens to our captured animals from here. There's an auction coming up in a few days, and it's one of the largest in the country. Having experienced all of the effort that goes into stocking the product, there's no way I'm going to miss the sale.
700 number 7,000 over there. And folks, any ones all through 7,000 now, all through, and all right.
My name is Ivan Carter, and I'm in South Africa, capturing wildlife that's destined to be sold to private landowners. The scale of this conservation initiative is staggering, and now, on the eve of the largest wildlife auction in the country, I've followed our captured animals here, to the Ezemvelo pre-auction viewing facilities.
Everything that we've seen to do with capture culminates at this. This is kind of the nerve center of this industry, if you will. This is where the point where we're getting very close to where money starts to change hands over this wildlife.
Dumi Zwani looks after this facility and the animals that pass through it.
This is one of the water buck bulls. Just be careful. He might charge. He's beautiful, you know.
What's going to be sold tomorrow? How many individual animals? Do you know off the top of your head?
It's about 2,500.
2,500 animals tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's a big business, eh?
It is. And everything that comes with the game in those areas, and then it creates a lot of jobs and increase the value of the land as well.
Dumi, why can't you take this model further north in Africa? Come on, man, we need people like you here.
Treating wildlife like a commodity may seem crass, but it's saving them. And people like Dumi ensure that they're in good hands all along the way.
You've got to prepare them, clean them every day, make sure the animals are eating and all that. So there's a lot of hard work that goes behind putting the animals in captivity. And at the end of the day, it's just the quality of the animal and being happy. Yes. That's what matters more to me.
Throughout this industry, the humane treatment of these animals is strictly upheld, especially among their new owners.
Even though there's private ownership, it's still a very specific set of paperwork that accompanies every sale, every animal, every move, to make sure that everything is done properly. Isn't that correct?
Yes, you get people, district conservation officers, coming to your farm, and then they do a vegetation assessment.
And then make sure that you're allowed to have kudu there.
Yeah, to make sure that you are allowed to have kudu there, and the kudu are actually not going to suffer.
Another nice big male.
This is the one.
Oh, he's pretty.
Yeah. I really, really like him.
Day after tomorrow, he's going to be running away on somebody's property.
Yeah, he's going to be happy in the wild.
Yes.
The next day, I'm one of the first to arrive at the largest, longest-running wildlife auctions in South Africa.
This particular auction is held by the government. It's sold into the private sector and gives wildlife great value. This right here is the epicenter of this trade.
Before the sale starts, I meet with the auctioneer himself, Mr. Brandon Lear. This is where the money changes hands, and you're the man that makes it happen, isn't it?
Well, I'm hoping so. You know, really, I'm the sponge between buyer and seller.
So it's just like any commodity, really.
It's the same process.
The fact that it's got 4 hooves or 4 feet, it's no different to a commodity. It's getting bought and sold and traded and invested in.
Yeah, just the ones that I do probably worth around about R1 billion annually. And
so $100 million you see passing through these auction houses, and you're only doing a proportion of them. You're not doing all of them.
Yeah, and they've done exceptionally well over the years. You know, they've really done well.
Brandon, thank you very much for the time. Thank you for what you do for wildlife.
No, I love it. Thank you so much.
You know what? Hopefully one day we're going to be calling you up to further north to get you to come and auction some of that wildlife.
That would be an honor. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Good luck today.
Well, a good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to get going shortly. I see most of you have found your seats. We're going to start off as we normally do with the Indiala, and we're going to start per each to take all 8. Right, you're going to start. I'm going to start the sound almost 10, 10, 10, 5.
Sitting in this room, it occurs to me, every hand I see raised is another person agreeing to invest their hard-earned money into the future of their country's wildlife.
All throw it out and up.
I've seen far too many conservation initiatives fizzle out for lack of funding. But this strategy, right here, is backed by big business. And that gives it tremendous longevity.
7,000 now, all through and all done.
Every dollar that's exchanged today guarantees the future of wildlife for years to come. This is an amazing experience.
On behalf of Velo, we'd like to thank you for your support today. And I think let's just give everyone a big hand and a round of applause here for a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Like the animals I helped capture, my journey is almost over. Tomorrow, I'm linking back up with Craig and his team to see our now privately owned wildebeest and impala delivered safely back into their natural environment.
Well, here we go.
It's been a long week exploring the inner workings of South Africa's wildlife trade, a massive industry that's revitalizing the country's wild places and the animals that live there. After seeing how wildlife is bought and sold, we're now on the very last leg of our journey. Well, in front of me is one of the trucks leading straight from this auction, where literally hundreds and hundreds of animals changed hands. At this point, the wildlife has gone from being state-owned to privately owned. And trucks just like this, in the coming days and in the coming weeks, are going to be delivering that wildlife to its new owners. I followed the wildebeest and impala we captured all the way from the auction house to this private property in Zululand. Joined once more by capture manager Craig Lord and his team, this is where all our hard work finally pays off.
They're going to try and back these big trucks into this ramp, which literally got built this morning, and let these animals off.
It's going to be a mad rush when the door opens and the wildebeest charge out. If we don't make everything level under the ramp, one or more of the animals could easily break a leg.
A lot more to this than meets the eye, and it's amazing how many measures are in place at every single step for the welfare of the wildlife that's being traded.
At last, it's time to open the first container. It's been a long road to this point, especially for these wildebeest. But seeing wildlife safe in their natural environment is what conservation success is all about.
They're all out there, successfully, no injuries, everybody healthy. One down and one to go. We've now still got the truck full of impala that they're going to back in here. Impala a lot easier, a lot smaller animals, a lot more nimble. Open it with the
We start with a male impala, whose horns we covered in rubber piping for the journey.
We can take these off.
Yeah.
Trying to just get the pipes off his horns, otherwise it puts him under a very distinct disadvantage.
Okay.
As far as protecting himself.
Yeah, pull it off.
Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Now for the females.
Well, here we go.
As those last impala run off into the bush, there's a feeling that this weight is off your shoulders. It's unbelievable. It's amazing to see what goes into this. It's a successful day. Successful day.
It's shocking to think that a whole continent could be in danger of losing its wildlife. But that's exactly where Africa is headed. The country of South Africa and its dedicated conservationists, capture teams and business leaders are fighting to change the future. And though there's hope, there's still a long way to go. I can't help but think of Jembe, the goat herder from up north, and how much his kids would love to see these herds of wildlife running free on this fertile land. My dream is to one day see all of Africa repopulated with wild roaming animals. What's happening here in South Africa is just a start, but it's a mighty good one.